as they were fleeing. Israel has ordered 1.1 million Palestinians in northern Gaza to evacuate to the south within 24 hours. We're going to go bring in Osama Bin Javaid to talk through all of this developing news over the last little while. First of all, can we just talk about what it is like as a journalist to operate in such dangerous areas like Gaza, like what we've seen in southern Lebanon?
Well, it is utterly heartbreaking to see when your colleagues go down this path that you've treaded many times. And as Ali was describing, that whenever you are in a conflict zone, you try and pack together so that you're visible from a distance. So the people who are involved in the conflict know who you are. And this is exactly how this team was traveling from. Obviously, there is a lot of danger that as journalists you have to take on board when you're going through this area, reporting on the conflict, not just because of what you see there, but to bring to the world the human stories, the people who live in these villages, who are under the constant barrage of tank shells. We've been seeing numbers. Now in Gaza, you've got close to 2,000 people killed. And as journalists, our job is to actually go there when the shell drops. We don't run away from the explosion, we run towards it. And that is why it is crucial for journalists to know that when they go there, at least they will not be shot at. But in this conflict, unfortunately, we've seen that in the last few years, it has escalated. Journalists, especially in this region, have been particularly targeted. In Israel, according to the Palestinian Journalist Syndicate, there are 55 journalists who've been killed so far. 2 of them died in 2022. 2 of them died 4 days ago as journalists were taking their vests and helmets due to Israeli shelling. So as Ali was describing this, these are journalists who were clearly marked. They were in cars, in a pack, wearing their safety vests, wearing their helmets, which clearly states press on it. And it does look like that it was something deliberate. And as we've seen, we don't know who shares the responsibility for this, but what we saw in Shireen Abu Akleh's case is that Israel immediately backpedaled and blamed Hamas for killing Shireen Abu Akleh. Then there was another statement 24 hours later, and it was not until a few days or weeks later when there was overwhelming evidence saying that an Israeli sniper killed Shireen Abu Akleh, Israel accepted that it could have been one of their bullets. So it is extremely dangerous. It is extremely important. And that is why it is so tragic to see people who are bringing the story to the world being targeted.
They're simply trying to do their jobs. Most people will know the situation in Gaza and in Palestine as we've been describing over the last 7 days, but might not be as familiar with the issues in southern Lebanon. Can you just run through what might have led up to this escalation there?
Well, it is, as you heard, the 2 most important people here in Qatar talking about a de-escalation of sorts, where they said there should be no new fronts, there should be no new actors coming in. And that is why this conflict is so nuanced and complicated, because it is not just Gaza, it is not just the West Bank. It is multiple fronts. It is the southern Lebanon border, it is the Israeli border towards Sinai, and towards Jordan as well. So in southern Lebanon, as we've seen in the wars in the past, there have been multiple groups that have been operating, including Hezbollah, which Israel has held responsible for involvement in what happened in Gaza, and obviously blaming Iran for that as well. So that's why you've seen some escalation of violence in southern Lebanon along this border area. You obviously have the issue of Golan Heights, the disputed territory there as well. And that is why journalists have to be there physically present to be able to tell you the story, because it's got layers upon layers of complications of people whose lives are actually being affected. So it is an important job. It is for us to be there, and it is extremely tragic, as Ali was just describing. Journalists being clearly marked, journalists who are there to do their job being targeted once again.
Okay, thank you so much for that. That is Osama Bin Javaid for us here in the studio. Well, Al Jazeera has gained access to satellite